Welcome to this live stream. And as you might have noticed that the topic of discussion in this stream is about the sudden sharp decline of Indian rupees against the dollar. I mean, Indian rupee has been declining for many decades. It used to be 60 in the range of 50s, and then gradually it declined, and today almost crossed 82 rupees to a dollar. So it is just one of the currency which is declining against dollars. And the other way to look at it is that the dollar is strengthening as compared to all other currencies in the world. So why we should worry about this aspect, and what can be done to prevent the decline, and what is going on, what is preventing all currencies, or rather I would say feeling the pressure, and because of which the currencies are dropping in value as compared to dollars. That is something that I would like to discuss and also clarify some of the points. So let's begin our discussion. And by the way, we are live, friends. So if you have any observation, any questions, and any luminary who are watching this live stream can join live, and their messages can be displayed on the screen, and I can take that up live as we are talking. So first of all, I think in order to understand the complexities of the cross currency fluctuation, we must also understand that the countries who are basically in the economic world, they are constantly driving the political upheavals or preventing any political upheavals in their own country. And one of the things they can do is by improving the economy, because if they improve the economy in their home country, they get more votes, they get chosen to power, and the government basically continues. So this is one of the ploy that the countries do, and all countries in their power try to do this. And the American government is the sharpest of all. As you know that the American economy is the world largest, although it is debatable now whether China has surpassed them or not. We will know maybe next year. We will know exactly when the IMF comes out with the latest figures. So Archana Sharma is asking a question. So I think Archana, if you can hear me, you have joined at a wrong time. So if you can join back in another live stream at 11 a.m. tomorrow, then your question can be answered. All right. So let me move on to the this question about economy. So the U.S. government is the biggest. They are running the biggest economy, and they ensure everything to make sure that their economy always remain at the top, and they play a lot of strategies to ensure that. Sometimes it's a war, sometimes it's oil, sometimes it's something else. So this is actually to retain the shine of their currency, and that is why the Ukraine and Russia war, it's very difficult to even imagine that the UK and Russia war during this time, and the world has just come out of pandemic, and we already know for sure that the US is actually showing a lot of inflation, almost upwards of 10% inflation. So their inflation is going through the roof. Oil prices are also going through the roof. So in such a condition, how the US dollar is strengthening? That is something which is very surprising, that how the manipulation of dollar value is happening, and all other currencies are weakening as compared to dollars. Well, there is nothing much to worry about for India, because Indian inflation is quite controlled. So the rupee value is sliding, is what the topic of discussion today. So I think one of the method for controlling inflation, one of the preferred method of controlling inflation by anyone is to print extra currency and basically bring in the extra currency print note into the market. And when that happens, then there is more currency in circulation. People will suddenly start feeling that they have more money to spend, and by doing that, the inflation can be controlled for a short period of time, and then when the spend start to happen, then the economy basically gets revived. But in today's environment, this does not look like to be very effective strategy. But US government has printed the extra note, I think upwards of 1 million or 2 million extra, or maybe trillion notes they might have printed to control the economy in their country. Now, when we talk about the printing, I think we have to look at US dollars as a global currency, because whenever any country does any trade with any other country, the preferred mode of collection is US dollars, because it's a global currency. Even it's a local currency of United States, but it is also a global currency where a lot of people like to receive US dollars and also like to make payment in US dollars. So when the US government print extra dollars, they know for sure that their dollars which they have printed, extra dollars that they have printed, will be in circulation worldwide. So they are not confined to only the boundaries of United States as a country. When they print, they are printing the dollars for the world. So essentially what they are trying to do is they are trying to control the inflation and then gradually transition all the inflation on other countries. This is what they do. This is their game plan. They have been doing it for many years, and every time other currencies, other countries have to pay price for this. So whatever inflation they are having currently, it is at 10% or upwards of 10%. That inflation will get transitioned to other countries, and countries who do not have internal production will be the worst affected because of this. And US does not care, because they have to take care of their economy, and this is their strategy. So now let's look at what India can do. As I said that US has already printed trillions of new notes, and they have put them in circulation. They will control the inflation, basically future forecasting of the inflation, the current inflation that they have, and gradually in future that inflation will transition to other countries, because US dollar currency note in circulation across the world. And that is why other countries have to now look at what they can do to prevent this to happen. I mean, India is one example which is looking at it very carefully, and that is why there has been a movement of Swadeshi. It is not just that everybody is talking Swadeshi. If you look at the political dispensation, everyone is talking about Swadeshi and make it in India, and so many different terminology they are using. Make it in India for the world. There is a complete strategy behind these small slogans that you keep hearing in the political world, and the biggest player in this is the oil. And just to recap on my previous video which I made a few days back on OPEC, let me rephrase some of these findings. OPEC is controlling. OPEC basically is a consortium of countries which are oil producing and exporting to other countries. So their collection and the consortium is called OPEC countries. So OPEC countries total GDP is the GDP of the world. Basically 60% of the trade that happens across the world, whether it is wheat, machinery, services, 60% comprised of oil and gas. And the oil producing countries are making 60% of the GDP. So don't think that these are small countries and they are in the middle of the desert. They control a substantial part of the global world trade, 58.8% to be precise. So it is a truly large trade which rides on oil and gas. And because of this dependency on oil and gas, you need to basically buy this oil and gas in dollars. And when you want to buy oil for your own country, for your own people, so that you can run your cars, machinery, electricity generation, the entire thing, using the oil and gas which you buy from these OPEC countries, you got to build your own foreign exchange, foreign forex surplus, so that you can pay and buy the oil. So most likely you will have dollars, because most of the payment, barring few countries like Russia, etc., everybody is accepting dollars. And that is why printing extra notes to improve inflation for US is not a risky business, because they know that their extra printed notes will be in circulation, and somebody will basically start paying them back, buying their commodity using dollars. So even if India buys oil from Saudi, it will eventually benefit the US economy. It will help control their inflation. So this is the overall strategy. But there has been a spanner in this strategy, which US is watching. Now US is in equal trouble as anybody else. They have already printed and put these extra note in circulation. Now the Saudis have said that they are going to cut the oil production. And that is, this whole thing is putting a spanner in the strategy of United States. And India has to watch out what is going on. I mean, Saudi, old ally of US, can jolly well turn back and say that, look, I don't want to collect money in dollars. I will like to collect money in euro. So we don't know what is going to happen in future. But from India perspective, we are already taking so many different initiatives which we must look at. Because let me go back to India, although we are discussing about the slide of Indian rupees against the US dollars. So what is that we are doing? We are actually changing over our fuel strategy to ethanol. Ethanol costs only 50 rupees for a liter, as compared to the petrol or diesel, which costs over 100 rupees. So first of all, in the retail market, ethanol is half the price. It can be produced locally. It can be mixed with certain compounds and can be utilized for running different machinery. So ethanol is going to play a major role. The second thing is the electric vehicle strategy. So there is a lot of agreement that Indian government has done with South American countries, Venezuela and Brazil, even Argentina, to source the rare earth element so that their EV industry can improve. So all of these things are happening with the intention, with keeping check of the United States, what they are doing, and because of which the Indian rupee is going to get hit very badly. So even though India as a country has a local industry, so internally we may not be dependent on the external countries' currency fluctuation, but since we have to import a lot of oil, that means 60% of our forex will go towards US dollars. So we need to basically get out of this trap of spending dollars. And the biggest thing is to basically diversify and not to use oil, petroleum, for running our vehicles, for running our trains, for producing our electricity and things like that. So if we are able to do that, if we are able to convert a lot of solar energy into electricity, if we are able to bring new policies, it will help us. And this is exactly what is going on. So when we say Swadeshi, this is what it means. And this is basically keeping track of the US strategy of transferring their inflation to rest of the countries, including India. And Saudi is playing a major role in US strategy working or not working. Let's move on to the more local issues. Indian currency is not global at the moment, but it is accepted in 24 countries already. So countries like Singapore, a couple of Middle Eastern countries, Malaysia, Indonesia, Nepal, etc. There are 24 countries which are accepting the Indian rupees. So if you basically buy something in these 24 countries, you can jolly well pay in Indian rupees. You don't have to carry any dollars or any other currency. You can straight away pay in Indian rupees at the counter whenever you buy things. So what we need to do is basically make sure that we have another 20-30 countries joining this group. And once the Indian rupee is a legalized tender in at least 48 to 50 countries, we can declare the Indian rupees as a global currency. So we will pretty much become like a UK pound or ruble or US dollars. Indian rupees can also be become a global currency, and this is very important step. So the government is trying to do that so that their dependency on US dollars reduces quite a bit, and then in future you can decide which commodity you want to basically receive your payments in Indian rupees, because this is now global currency. Anybody can buy Indian rupees and sell. So India in that situation will be able to decide if they want to collect payment in Indian rupees, so that other countries will have to start building the forex for cross currency transactions, start building accounts. Nostro Vostro, it's actually getting too technical, but they have to start building their accounts having Indian rupees in their bank account, so that when they are doing trade with India, they will pay us in Indian rupees. So this is a very important step in controlling the inflation and also improving the price of Indian rupee. The next step, which is very quietly being done, in fact there has been a news also a few weeks back that 200 tons of gold has been purchased by India from UAE. So 200 tons of gold, it's a lot of gold. As it is, India has a lot of gold, almost like 2000 tons of gold in reserve, and about 25,000 tons in circulation in the market, because gold is a big thing in India. So why you will buy gold? And another thing I would like to clarify, that for buying this gold, Indian government has paid in Indian rupees to UAE. So they have actually strengthened by paying the Indian rupees, and they have purchased gold. So what could be the strategy? See, the strategy is very simple. The strength of a country is purely determined by the gold that country has. If you look at the United States, they have the biggest gold reserve. I mean, when they talk about reserve, they have a reserve of 7,000 tons, which is the very big reserve. Well, India is not having that much of reserve, but there is so much, 25,000 tons, as I said, is with people of India. But government of India has only 2,000 tons. So Indian government is gradually building their reserves by taking these actions and building this, getting the reserve gold, so that the economy, when it comes to printing of currencies or circulation, and once in future the Indian rupee becomes a global currency, then this gold will come very useful, because then the value of the gold, we can actually translate that into printing of currencies, so that we know exactly how many notes we have printed, how many are in circulation, and backed by what. So this is a commodity that we have. So this is one very important step that Indian government is taking in order to control the inflation. As it is, the inflation is in the range of 6 to 7%, lowest in the world. In addition, the Indian government is trying to take these steps. So even if you see Indian rupee sliding against dollars, it's nothing to worry about, because the government is taking the right steps. And therefore, when we move out of the clutches of this oil-based industry, that means we produce our own power based on whatever mechanism, either ethanol or solar or wind, then we don't need to basically generate our power using by spending the forex in dollars or in euros, whatever the currency would be. So that way we will be securing our future, and that is what the strategy is. On one side, we are basically trying to build our gold reserves. Second side, we are trying to make sure that we transition our energy needs, move that out from petroleum based energy to unconventional energy, including the hydrogen fuel, which Nitin Gadkari has already spoken big time. And in fact, few days back, he actually drove a car to Parliament which was completely hydrogen driven. So hydrogen can be a locally produced fuel for Indian industry, electricity which is produced either through solar or through wind, and ethanol for our cars, or maybe electricity, EVs. So a whole lot of strategy is going on in order to control the sliding Indian rupee, and I think that is what the worrisome thing is, and that is why the FTA, one of the reasons that FTA is not happened with UK is one of this, because Indian economy, Indian government is now taking these steps to make their own country much more powerful in future. So things are looking up, and I hope I tried to explain the whole scenario, global scenario, and why this Indian rupee is sliding in a more meaningful way. If you have any questions, do send in. If you want to get into any discussions, I'm more than happy to invite you in my future live stream. But I will like to get more of your comments. What do you think? Or also give me feedback. Was I able to explain things to you which helps you to regain confidence in the Indian economy? All right, friends. So thank you so much for watching my live stream. I will catch you tomorrow with much more interesting subject in our business section. For today, I like to say goodbye. Take care and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.